Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, and welcome to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. It is indeed a pleasure and a blessing for us to have in the studio, in Alhikmat new studio, a very prominent Muslim, a very prominent community leader in South Florida, nationally known, worldwide known. And he's no less a person than Dr. Mohsin Jaffer. Welcome to the show, Dr.
Thank
Jaffer.
you.
I know you're a man with many titles and an interesting background. Could you share with our viewers a little bit about your origin? Were you born in the United States of America? Because, I mean, reading your bio, today you're a man with over 10 branches of medical institutions or centers in South Florida. Am I correct?
True, indeed.
So to be someone who have reached that level, when you still have, thousands of doctors in America who are still trying to get a job or still trying to hold on to a job in the hospital, you have doctors working for you, you have centers all over, you do service in the medical world, worldwide, nationwide. We got viewers worldwide who would really love to hear a little bit about your background. And I know you came from Kenya. So why America? Why did you choose to come to America?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'll begin in the name of the Lord, who's most merciful and most kind. I was born up in Kenya, Mombasa, Kenya, small city in Kenya, and I grew up in great awe of this great country, America, which put pressure on all the colonial powers. Africa was the playground for big powers to exploit their natural resources. And Kenya was run by Britain. Mm-hmm. And America, in its wisdom, put pressure on all these colonial powers to liberate their colonies and let them be independent. And that's why we grew up with great admiration for America. We admired America's democracy, we admired America's constitution, and it was a beacon of democracy and goodness. And America was a country that welcomed its tired and the persecuted ones. I didn't have a problem until, as I grew up, there was a fervor in Kenya and in Uganda. Idi Amin came into power and he chased all the Asians away. My ancestry about 200 years ago is from India.
Okay.
India and Kenya had this monsoon wind, so he had a trade.
And do you have an idea what state in India?
Yes, Gujarat. My
interesting.
ancestors were traders, and they came to India, to Kenya, to East Africa in Zanzibar first, and then from there they branched out and they had businesses all over East Africa.
We have some similarity because I'm from Trinidad, the Caribbean. And our ancestors came approximately 175 years to 200 years from India, from UP.
Yes.
So that's interesting,
Yes.
And we more or less have the same sort of dream and idea about America. You looked at the power in America, the democratic system in America. America is the most powerful democratic country in the world. And I mean, I can understand where you're coming from.
Thank you. Yes, we all grew up in the colonial. At that time, also India was a colonial power.
Yes.
So India, but 200 years before, when we came over as traders, my ancestors did trading all over Africa, opened up. The British used to run the administrative, but they wanted business people to run the businesses, and so our family was business family.
Okay.
But I was one of those few guys who fell in love with medicine. Since I was a little child, I fell in love with the idea of being a doctor, and that's all what I wanted, even though my family was in business. So as I grew up, that's when Idi Amin started this chasing out the Asians. And we were still always considered Asians, even though we were Kenyans for so long, because
you were sort of
that prejudice started.
Immigrants.
They would not give me to go into my residency, even though I went into medicine. So I got a scholarship to India. I went studied there and came back and worked in the boondocks in Africa. I really worked in the boondocks.
Interesting.
And honed a lot of skills. I did a lot of work in the villages of Africa, but still they would not give me a residency. And at that time, I decided to come to America to do my residency. And what was so beautiful about America was that you were judged by what type of a person you were. You were not held accountable for your race or your creed or your culture, but what sort of values you brought to America and how good a human being you were. This was very enduring quality of our nation today, that you can do well if you're hardworking, you're meaningful, and you're enterprising. The sky is the limit. This is the American dream. And that's why our nation has done well compared to other European nations, for example, or any other nation. We were a melting pot of a lot of cultures where people came with a desire to make their life better and to contribute. Because once you improve, then you start contributing. Like today, before I was just a single doctor, but today I have 50 employees. I have 6 other doctors working for me. And we are serving a niche, because as I practice medicine, I did my residency at University of Miami, and I decided to stay local here.
So you moved directly from Kenya to South Florida?
Yes. I worked at the Cedars Medical Center, and then I got into residency, and I did my residency here, and I decided to stay here because this is very nice and warm, and I like the sea, and it's just like where I came from, Mombasa.
And I think that's a very good motivational point for our youngsters and our young doctors and people who have that dream of getting into the medical field, to hear your background and to see where you came and where you started to what you are today, having so many people working for you and so many branches in the medical field.
And I did a lot of surgeries in Africa, and I could have gone into surgery, but I like the idea of being a family physician where you take care of people and you have a chance to influence their lives. See, if you're a surgeon, you cut cancer out or you do something, you take a gallbladder out, you don't see him again for that gallbladder. You see, it's over. But as a family doctor, you really can influence the entire family, and you can be meaningful guide and help and change their destiny, really, if you make them live their lives better. Because health is really dependent on how we take care of ourselves.
Of course.
The greatest mantra I have is that the best doctor you have is you.
Interesting.
But allow me to come aboard like a captain allows a navigator to come aboard and guide him or her so they don't have a crash and they have a better outcome. But as I practiced medicine more, as family medicine, I found out that there was one area of medicine that was being neglected, which was geriatrics. And people did not like older people because older people have a lot of medicines, a lot of diseases, a lot of history, and half the time they don't remember what you told them.
Right.
And it's difficult to take care because patients, the greatest success for a doctor is compliance. You tell a patient what to do, he or she listens to you and takes the medicine or takes the advice that you gave them, and they improve, and that's satisfaction. But seniors, it takes a lot more work, and I found that doctors shun that away. They rather have a young person like you, treat him, and you're out and you're done with.
I'm smiling because something is passing through my mind as you say that. I mean, this is just being hypothetically speaking here. But that's a very smart move.
The people I take care of are 65 and above.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You create a link with them, you create a bond with them, a family line, but then, that's a smart thing. And you know why I say that? They're the people who fall sick more often than the younger people. So I think that's good money for your business.
Actually, that's different now.
Oh, no,
actually, it's different. I get paid for keeping them healthy. You see, in America, we realize soon that the doctors, the hospitals, the specialists, all are paid for your sickness care. And America had not really concentrated on paying doctors for wellness care.
And keeping people healthy.
Because, for example, if you're my patient, what do you want me to do? Is to make you healthy if you are sick and hopefully keep you healthy and you never have to have my services again.
Of course.
And as we get older, like an older Cadillac needs more tinkering.
Definitely.
So you're right, the older people need more medical care. So up to now, our medical system has been geared to admit more, to cut you more, to scope you more, but nobody pays the doctors for sitting down and explaining to the patient that you should be exercising more, eating better, doing this, doing that, so that you stay healthy.
Yes.
Because just imagine if all my patients stayed healthy, I'd be out of work.
Of course.
Doctors would be out of work. Hospitals would be out of work.
Yes.
So our entire health system is geared for, and believe you me, we spend 19.6% of our GDP on healthcare. Other countries like our neighbor Canada or England, Britain, Germany, Japan spend 4 to 5%. So we spend too much money. And what is our health card? Our healthcare report say? We are number 34.
Yeah,
south of
yeah.
Slovenia, north of Costa Rica. That means we're not doing such a good job.
Because you're
Okay.
right, a lot of doctors probably just look at the symptoms and
So we do a lot of care, many times superfluous care, and many times unnecessary care, and most of the times care that would have been unnecessary if our patient had been taken care of in preventive care. I'll give you an example. You got high blood pressure, you got high cholesterol, okay, you got diabetes. If you start listening to your doctor, working with your doctor, you bring your sugar down, you bring your blood pressure down, you bring your cholesterol down the road, you will not get that heart attack that is coming your way. You will not get a stroke, you will not get a kidney failure, and you'll be healthy.
Yeah.
And you won't need all those hospital services and those expensive services which cost the government.
It's like-
Especially after Medicare is paid, 80% of Medicare bill is paid by the government. The other 20%, you buy a supplemental insurance or you join a managed care company, an MA plan, which pays for your 20%.
okay.
But they are the ones who have led the charge to say, look, we are now responsible for these guys. If they stay healthy, we make a profit. If they get sick, we have to pay for it. So they are the ones who are the pioneers in our country to start the HMO, which everybody looks at them in a bad way. However, they started the measures. They started telling the doctors, he says, doctor, you haven't brought your blood pressure of your patients down, or your statistics of doing preventive care. Because what is the best care in this country? Preventive care.
Excellent.
If
yeah.
you can prevent a cancer or a problem, it's the best. Second best is early detection. Find it. And third thing is, if you have a problem, keep it fixed. The greatest country in the world we are, America, still only 60% of our high blood pressure and diabetes patients are controlled to goal. It's sad.
That's very sad. That's
You
very
see?
sad, yeah.
So this is the whole idea. The managed care company said, doctors will now reward you for taking care of your patients. So if you keep your patient healthy, if you pass all these parameters, you did a colonoscopy of anybody above 50, you got a mammogram done for a lady, you kept the cholesterol down, you kept your blood pressure down, you brought the diabetes under control, thank you very much. Here's a reward. So finally, doctors are being rewarded for making their patients healthy, and by spending the time, which nobody doesn't get reimbursed, of advice.
And you
Today, if I cut you, I scope you, I get, and I put you in a
Yes,
hospital, I make money. But if I give you advice, zero.
You make me think about a motor car. You know, long ago, people, and if you look at long ago, you used to have a lot of broken down cars on the highways because the mechanics just fixed the problem. Nowadays, there's what you call prevention. You got warranty. And I'm listening to you in the health line, and I think that's why you don't have so many
Yes.
broken down cars on the road. And in third world countries, you have a lot of that because they just wait for something to break down, and then they're fixing it, and that's it. But what you're talking
temporary
about
fix, yes.
in the health and career and the health world, it's about prevention, taking care, fixing it when it happens so you prevent another problem. And I think if people understand that, they may be much healthier.
True. And this is where I think the advancement has been made, where we have to now shift the pendulum from sickness care to wellness care. And it's happening a lot in the Medicare age group patients because they are the sickest. But we should also look at our young. So can you imagine if somebody has got high cholesterol and high blood pressure in his 20s and 30s, you keep it under control, God willing, he'll never get that heart attack, he'll never get that stroke, you see?
Yes.
And
yes.
that's where I think the focus of our nation should be. So I feel very blessed that I went into this field of taking care of older people. They are called geriatrics, okay? And now you're getting a lot of centenarians and people living to be 100, and they're staying healthy. This is one of the fastest growing segment of our population because people are staying healthy, they're taking care of their health, and why not? They worked hard all their lives, they paid their taxes, and they reared their children. Now it's time for them to retire, and guess what happens? They get sick, and they're going to doctors all the time, and life is miserable. We offer a chance for you to become healthy and vibrant, because I tell my patients after 65, you got two options. End up in a wheelchair in a nursing home, or listen to us, stay healthy, and die with your boots on.
And that's
Of course.
That's super.
What is
where-
your choice?
So where are some of the cities that you got your offices?
We are all
centers. They're
strapped
basically
around,
centers.
all around Broward County. We have got 10 centers all over Broward County, and it takes care of the citizens of Broward County.
So as a Muslim, I mean, this may not be a realistic question, but just for our viewers who are viewing this program worldwide, it's interesting for them to know, those who have the dream to come to America and be a Dr. Jaffer with many branches. So your patients, they're mostly Muslim, I mean non-Muslims, I suppose.
Absolutely. 99% of my patients are non-Muslims, and they relate to us because we talk the language of love, care, and compassion.
And they don't have a
that's why-
problem with you being a Muslim.
Actually, it helped me. Being a Muslim,
the
you see,
American
I grew up in a
situation.
culture where seniors are respected. And our scriptures all tell us how to respect our parents, how to respect the elderly. And I think our culture dictates us to respect the elderly for what they have done for us and be very respectful and cognizant of their disabilities. So I naturally became very comfortable with the seniors. I didn't look at them as,
Yes, yes.
Gomers. But I looked at them as people who are very viable and vital citizens, but today they need our help. They need extra care. They need to be shepherded to a better health so that at least the next few years they have left is of vital life.
So as a successful medical doctor and a community leader, I would like you to share for our viewers so that it will be very motivational for them. What advice you can give, because I mean Allah has blessed you, you're not just a regular doctor with many branches. I mean, you're very successful, we know that. You've been to the White House, you've met all the big guys in America, you've been around, the big guys meet you. I mean, I've never been by your home, but I know you have one of the mansions in South Florida. Allah has blessed you with that. What advice can you give to some of our doctors and medical doctors or professionals who are looking at this show? I mean, just a few words as to how they could achieve what you have achieved. Because it's not just being a regular doctor. You had to have a different vision to achieve all the success, not just be a rich doctor, but being who you are is beyond the regular rich, the successful, blessed person. What advice you would like to give to some of our viewers?
Two things, like when doctors are in their residency program, it's hard work, it's slave labor, literally. But you are learning. Don't look at it as a chore, but look at it as a possibility of every patient. You look at the patient is your teacher. Doctors learn more from their patients than they learn from their professors, because that's where all the advice you got, but now you practice on them. So I look
Very
at
true.
work as not as work, but as a teaching opportunity. And then after you work hard, you're used to working hard. And then when you come out, you work hard, you take calls, you do things. But my success is a lot because of my wife.
Oh, interesting.
My wife has got a very strong entrepreneurial spirit, and she had her own businesses.
Okay.
She was manufacturing coffee and doing all sorts of things. She was a very successful businesswoman.
So you're not just a medical
And then
guy.
I recruited her because I was not doing well. My staff was in mess. My profitability was, I was just surviving.
Okay,
So I said, why don't you lend me a hand? And she did, and changed my destiny. And she made me work much better. By the way, she fired all my staff. And then
Okay.
we discovered one of them was even had stolen my identity and had a credit card in her name, which I found out afterwards.
No, but that's a good point, because
yes.
to get a wife
Yeah.
involved in her
Yes.
level, because she runs some real
yes,
business
she's
also,
a
right?
businesswoman. She's got a business head, and she was really very productive and enterprising. And she changed my way of thinking, and made me look at that. Look, you do such a good job, but you're only one person. Get some more people in your work and train them. So what I do is, when a new doctor is hired, he or she spends time with me for the first 3 months at least to see how I practice, what's the philosophy of ours. Because a doctor's office is a doctor's office. What makes the difference is how your staff treats them. I
Yes.
tell them, look, these are older people. You have to treat them like their own parents. You don't have that little cubby hole. I have open desks. There is no window there. You come and you feel comfortable. You come. So my staff is trained right, and we treat our patients with respect. We tell them, look, you're the boss, you're the captain of the ship, and you're on the ship, but allow us to come aboard as your navigator, and together allow us to be your partner. You do well, we do well. If you fail, we have failed also.
No, and I like that point, Dr. Jaffer, because I know a lot of doctors. They're successful doctors, rich doctors, but they're not in your category. You're in a whole different world, and you have shared a nice point, because doctors, yes, they concentrate on medicine and wellness and sickness and the whole works, But by bringing your wife on board with you, it became a whole different entrepreneur operation, a whole different vision to the medical field, and you were able to serve more people and do more service to the community and enrich your company. And that's a smart move.
Thank you. And as we got more successful, we started realizing that we have to give back.
Yes.
So I've been a big contributor to our Rotary Club, which I love because they do a lot of good work all over the world. It's one of the best organizations helping all over the world. We also started a free clinic 7 years ago.
Yes, tell us
in
about,
Miami Gardens.
Your free clinic and the
I'm
service
the president
you
of that
offer.
free clinic. 7 years ago, we got together and said, you know, we've got to give back. And this is, Broward County has a health tax, which goes to Memorial in the south and Broward Health in the north. But in Dade County, we have 1 penny tax, but it goes to Jackson. And Jackson also has a free clinics, but elsewhere, people who are working as a waiter or a small company don't have insurance, and these guys don't get care. Like I told you, if we
So you want to share the name of the
UHI Medical Clinic.
And it stands
Universal Heritage Institute.
So, you know,
And
our
this
viewers
is,
can go
on,
Google
Miami
that.
Miami Gardens Drive and 47th Avenue.
And you take care of
UHI clinic, free clinic. We make you sign a form that you don't have insurance or you can't afford.
Muslims or non-Muslims?
No, everybody or anybody across the road, because we make them sign because state of Florida requires us to get that signed, so then they can cover us for malpractice for free.
Actually, I was on a talk show on PBS, and a professor, in speaking about Muslims and their services in America, he referred to Dr. Jaffer, who offers his services with UHI and whatever you contribute and however you contribute as a community person who serves the community as a Muslim. And
thank you. It's
I
not
was
just
very
me.
much astonished.
There's so many other Muslim doctors,
who are
and so
involved
many
with you.
Muslim entrepreneurs, and so many other people. We have got pharmacists, we've got people who run nursing homes. We've got a lot of good people who all, out of the goodness of their heart, they said, we must help. And they all joined, rolled up their sleeves and helped them. In fact, we have got about 10 board members. Most of them are the ones who contribute major part of our funding, because we go begging once a year. We have a fundraiser, and we did that. And this was only once a week on a Saturday. Then FIU found out that this is a great project. So they brought their professor. They started a medical college. They wanted some place for their students to practice. So they bring their professor and medical students, and even their nursing nurse practitioner students. And from Monday to Friday, they brought them there. We found out PBS did a program on us, and then Blue Cross got interested in us, and they gave us some funding to hire a nurse practitioner. So today, from Monday to Sunday, Monday to Saturday, we have our clinic open. And today, in fact, just now we concluded a deal to start even eye care. And somebody wants to put a dental chair there also. So we also have pediatric care from St. Nicholas, which is in Miami Children's Hospital, part of FIU.
So that's
FIU staff are coming there. And the University of Miami helped us how to stop smoking. And they also bring the Bascom Palmer, brings their eye people. So what happens when you do something good, people realize you're doing something good and want to help. And the beauty of this project is it's not based on what your faith is, based on the fact that you're a fellow human being and you need care.
I think it will be a good idea. Maybe Alhikmat TV need to do a whole documentary, maybe a 1-hour documentary on UHI.
That will be a very good idea.
And some of the things happening, and do some interviews with you and your other volunteers there, and show patients and show the whole thing. I mean, not just 2 seconds. I mean, a whole 1 hour so the world, especially with the kind of things happening in America here, where people think that Muslims are just opportunists. We just come in here for things. But let them know that they are Muslims who are giving back.
It's part of our creed. We have to give back.
Of course. So I would love us to do a 1-hour documentary and get patients and professors and doctors and yourself to probably speak a little bit on its foundation and what you do, and we can spend some more time on that. But we got to go on a short break right now, and when we come back, we'd like to talk a little bit and let our viewers know the other aspect of you, some of your community services, your little political connections, how you ended up in the White House, and your meeting with probably President Obama, and you're going into the White House to the State Union address. I think our community will be very much interested to know that, because that has always been a little issue with some doctors. I have noticed doctors, nice, very good, like sheikhs and imams who just stick to their homes and their mosque, but not all doctors are very outspoken and get very involved in community and get very involved in social activities. And I think a doctor should be not just a guy in his office, but because of his leadership and his connection with patients and families, he has a good drive, a good that strength that he can be a very powerful community leader. And you in that position, you have done that, and you would be able to motivate a lot of people. So when we come back, I would like to talk to you about that, so our viewers worldwide could hear that aspect of you and your community.
Before we get off this topic, let me just tell you, Channel 7, which is a Fox affiliate, did a program on us in Ramadan to show that here Muslims are giving back to the community. So they did a program on UHI clinic.
Okay, wonderful. No, so people have recognized it.
Yes.
And I think a lot of Muslims still don't know about it. So we need to send it out so Muslims and non-Muslims could know about it. So
Thank you.
we have been speaking to Dr. Mohsin Jaffer, who is the founder and president of Senior Associates.
Senior Medical Associate.
Senior Medical Associates, and he's also the president of UHI. And it has been a pleasure hearing about his success and his medical services and community services and the 10 branches he have all over with Senior Medical Associates. So when we get back, we want to hear a little bit more about his community services, his political life, and his involvement in community services at large. So thank you very much, and stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Due to the negative propaganda against the Quran and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has become imperative upon us to spread the message of the Quran, inshallah. Therefore, Al-Hikmat kindly requests your support to pledge and sponsor 100,000 Quran drives on CDs. Join us sponsoring Qurans on CDs for free distribution fi sabilillah for Muslims and non-Muslims worldwide. You can also sponsor on behalf of family members and relatives that have passed away as Sadaqah Jariyah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Al-Hikmat services serving the Muslim community and non-Muslim community. Dawah and interfaith activities, distribution of Quran and Islamic publications, sponsoring students to study Islam, Al-Hikmat Da'i, Dawah and Interfaith Institute. Also, Friday sermons by Shaikh Shafayat are live on alhikmattv.com from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Download our free Al-Hikmat TV app on your mobile devices. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to donate to Al-Hikmat Dawah services online with a credit card or PayPal at alhikmat.com. For more details, contact Al-Hikmat office at 1-800-804-0267 or our local number 954-986-0158 and visit us at www.alhikmat.com. Jazakallah khair. Al-Hikmat has been serving the Muslim and non-Muslim communities for the past 30 years through the publishing and distribution of Islamic literature and radio, and also TV programs, plus interfaith activities. Due to the demand and many requests of non-Muslims and new Muslims for Islamic literature, we request you to donate generously $1 fi sabilillah in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards distribution of the Holy Quran, Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online, Dawah publications, Surah and Zikr books, genealogy of the prophets, feeding and clothing the poor, orphans, and the needy, students seeking to study Islam, printing of Islamic publications, our monthly Muslim magazine, One God, Same Religion Dawah brochures, Quranic Arabic reader with tajweed for students. And also to support our Dawah activities, you can also contact Al-Hikmat offices at 954-986-0158. At 954-986-0158, or you can also visit our website at www.alhikmat.com. That is www.alhikmat.com. You can also make checks payable to Al-Hikmat Services Incorporated, or you can donate with a credit card on PayPal at www.alhikmat.com.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Who is Who on Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. And as we promised you before we went on the break, it's a blessing to have, of course, again, Dr. Mohsin Jaffer with us in the studio. And we want to continue the conversation on his business or his political or his achievements in the world and how and what motivated him to take that aspect in comparison to many other doctors who are just regular doctors, go to work 8 to 4, go home, take care of their family. But Dr. Jaffer has been a man who has been very involved in the community and for the community. So welcome again back, Dr. Jaffer.
Thank you.
So this whole invitation about getting into the State of the Union address and your meeting President Obama, whether it was during his campaign or whatever, I mean, it's not everybody has that opportunity. So you want to share that with our viewers a little bit?
Doctors on the whole have a pulse on the social conscience. But because we have patients who are Democrat and Republican, and in good company you are admonished to not talk about religion or politics, right?
Okay.
So doctors stay away from it, and usually they remain apolitical. And most doctors I know are independents. They don't subscribe to any one party. But as a Muslim, we subscribe to the Republican ideals, which is small government, fiscal responsibility, moral uprightness. These are some of the qualities we like in the Republican side. On the Democratic side, we like the social consciousness that you don't neglect the poor, you don't neglect the downtrodden, and you are a voice for them also. So really, a good Muslim really has both the ideals at his heart. It's a good social responsibility and being of entrepreneurial and
I like
leave
that point
everybody
you
alone.
made, because
Yes.
as a Muslim and Islam,
Yes.
some of the values of the Republicans are very Islamic.
Very Islamic, that's
and
right.
the social aspects of the Democrats are very Islamic. So as
that's right.
Muslims, we have to work with both parties.
Both parties, yes, exactly. So you see, I've always been a proponent, and that's why I told my patients, look, I vote for somebody who, I looked at the candidate.
Right.
I don't look at the party alone, I said the candidate. The candidate's values are good, they subscribe to my values, then I want him or her as my... This way we have made friends with all the politicians in our neighborhood, and you know, they all want contributions for their campaign, and they are some good people, you support them. So
And
that's
it's for the betterment of the country at the end of the
because
day.
you want a good politician who has got the heart in the right place, and who really has got that, is not there for him or herself, but wants to make the society a better place. Because we've got so many congressmen and so many senators, okay? But each one of them, their mandate is what? To serve the community that sent them there.
Of course.
And if they do that, then they are our representatives,
Yes.
and you want to encourage them and help them.
Yes.
If not, then you don't re-elect them. But this is the political scenario. So candidate Trump said some nasty stuff about Muslims, and it was interpreted like that anyway. And Congressman Ellison and Wasserman Schultz said that, you know, maybe we should take a Muslim to State of the Union. So they chose a candidate from their constituents. So they invited me to go, and that's how I ended up in the Congress, in the State of the Union, the last one of President Obama.
MashaAllah.
But we had a lot of interviews there, and we had a lot of media coverage, and we had a lot of questions asked. You know, and I was asked about President Trump. I said, I don't know why he would say that. He's a businessman. He has a dealings with a lot of Muslim countries, and he has got hotels in a lot of Muslim countries. So I don't know why he would say.
And he got a lot of partners who are Muslims.
Yeah, and who are partners. So I don't know, but he's a businessman. Probably he's got other agendas. So I left it there. But I talked about that. Please don't consider Muslims as recent immigrants. You know, we may be 3 to 6 million, depending how you count, but millions of Muslims came to America, but they changed their faith because they were enslaved. But even before that, the discovery, like Christopher Columbus's navigator was a Muslim, and the first country to recognize us as a country was a Muslim country, Morocco. The longest treaty we have is with Morocco. And you know, we helped them with the Barbary pirates, and Thomas Jefferson had the first iftar. At that time, they didn't even have a White House, but in his house, he invited the ambassadors of Muslim countries to have iftar with him.
And Americans need to know that.
Yes, they didn't know that. You see, so Muslims have been part of the fabric of this great nation, which has been a melting pot of different cultures. Because I say even Indian Americans came from Asia 10,000 years ago. So this is a country of melting pot of different cultures, like President Trump's grandmother, mother came from Scotland, and his grandfather came from Germany.
Yeah.
His wives also came from, they were all immigrants, you see.
Of course.
So we really are a country of immigrants, if not recent, but in the past, all our ancestors came from anywhere else. And this has been the hallmark and the success of our nation, where we came here and we all subscribed to the American dream, worked hard, and make this country great. I mean, every time I take up my phone, I think of Steve Jobs. You know, his father was a Syrian immigrant.
Of course.
So think about it, you know. So I don't think this differentiation and this hatred of one color or different ethnicity belongs in America. It's not part of our culture.
And even
it's never been.
Even the founding fathers,
Yes.
they did not
Yes.
started and established things that way. They were all about the freedom of religion, the
Yes.
freedom of beliefs, the freedom of faiths in America. And, you know, I hope that, and I
Yes.
pray that God guides
Yeah.
President Trump to,
I hope so
to
too.
be a little more...
Because he's a smart man.
Of
I mean,
course.
he didn't become a billionaire just like that.
Not like
He
that.
is smart, and I'm sure he will see that, look, the success of America is that we work as one country.
Yes.
And that's why the civil rights that we brought in and the emancipation and the vote, we were the first country to give women a vote, you know, compared. By the way, Islam gave vote 1500 years ago. Women were given a right to vote.
Of course, yeah.
They were given a right to soul. In 1600, Christians gave women a soul. Before that, you didn't have a soul.
And
So, you know, and right to vote was in 1900s, you know, early
course.
1900. So we have good values. We have been the democratic leaders. We have the oldest democracy today.
yes.
We have a great constitution, and we have a lot to teach the world. Like I told you, I grew up in admiration of America for what it did to liberate all the countries in Africa. So in that view, we must have a relationship with our legislators,
Of course.
because they make decisions for us, and we must be involved. So I request all the people out there, especially the intellectuals, the businessmen, the doctors, or the professionals, you should stay involved. You should get involved, because most of us don't like politics, because politics, it's sleazy many times. They tell you one thing, they do other thing. But we must hold our legislators accountable.
Definitely.
You can't do things that hurt the fabric of the country. You can't do things that really damage our nation. And I know sometimes politicians say things because it's great for the vote or get it to
Yeah.
do something. So we hope, I hope your prayer comes through, and President Trump really understands that keeping us together is more
Yes.
valuable than
And you know,
splitting
he's
us
a
up.
very aggressive person, so maybe in his aggression and his hierarchy operation and probably his little anger scenario, he probably made statements, and we have seen him retract certain statements very diplomatically, and we hope that Allah guides him, and if Allah guides him to be a little more cool-tempered in his operation and not so much into the high and fire operation, we may have things will work better for Islam and the Muslims. So Islam contributes a lot into the political and democratic field, and if Muslims will really use that sort of scenario, we will be much more better than what we are in. Plus the chiefs,
You're
as
right.
you rightly said, the Prophet ﷺ used to liaison and worked with the chiefs in those days. It had nothing to do whether they were Christians or Jews or infidels. He worked with them. That's how he formed an organization called Hifz al-Fudul, where he used to work and do community work, which is like the governmental system now. So, you know, Allah blessed you to make that sort of inroads into the community and make that sacrifice from your career and your medical profession. But before we close, Dr. Jaffer, I would like you to share. You got some wonderful pearls and gems here. I see you have 10, and I may want to show
Maulana, can
our-
I before you go further, the point you made, the Secretary General of the United Nations sent a letter to all the Muslim countries. He said, look, you guys have a lot of democracy and equality in your predecessors. By the fourth Caliph sent a letter to the governor of Egypt, and he said, this is how you must rule, this is how you must treat the clergy, how you must treat the judges, the rich, the poor. And he said, remember one thing, which the Prophet had always prophesied, that every human being is either your brother in faith or brother in humanity.
Yes.
And if
yes.
Muslims believe that, they will treat every fellow human being as a brother in humanity.
And be a dynamic example to the world on the
Yes.
democratic humanitarian system that Islam and the Prophet ﷺ has taught. So I love this brochure that you have here, senior medical associates, leaders in senior healthcare, and I'd like our viewers worldwide to look at this. This is very interesting. Dr. Jaffar's 10 pearls of longevity with good health and happiness. So you got 10, but could we just, as we conclude the program, just briefly, I love these points here, and maybe what guide, well, of course, Allah guided you, but what was behind your mind when you came up with 5 of these 10, like have a positive attitude at all times, and don't worry, reduce stress, meditate and relax, things like laugh a lot, have faith, be spiritual and thankful to all the bounties of life, make every day the best day of your life. I like that. You know, in a nutshell, I know we can't go on every point in details, and I would ask our viewers if they can go online and Google this so you can get the 10 pearls written by Dr. Jaffer. But could you share with our audience what sort of motivated you to bring these points? It was not just about taking medicine and walking, but it's a lot of moral ethics and very social and very spiritual guidelines you gave here.
These guidelines were by modus operandi. Over the years, I've been practicing for 35 years, so I slowly and I have medical students from all the different universities.
Okay.
One medical student kept writing them down, and one day when she's leaving her rotation with me, gave me 1,000 copies, because her uncle is a printer, of all my pearls.
Okay.
These are pearls of Dr. Jaffer, and they were different, of course, and I modified them, but I started adopting them because I started keeping them in the office for patients to use, because it made a lot of sense. This is what I had talked about.
Of course.
And these are pearls of longevity and happiness. Happiness depends on many things. One of the most important factors is your health. But the pivotal point for happiness is attitude. So number one there is attitude. If you have a positive attitude, you stay happy and healthy. If you have a negative attitude, your immune system goes down, you get sick.
I like that.
So my advice to your viewers is, if you are negative, please become a positive person. If you have a negative friend or family, please take them change. If that friend doesn't change, please, he's not your friend anymore.
Wow.
Positive people make a difference. Positive, it's, half empty or half full glass. You have to look at everything that happens to you in a positive light.
Of course.
Every day you wake up, you say, thank you, I'm alive. I could have been dead.
Yes.
Look at it nicely. And promise yourself that today good things will happen. That attitude of gratitude and that positive look is the one that prevails and guards you against many diseases and bad feelings. That's what makes you unhappy. The other point you want to talk about is
don't worry, laugh a lot.
Don't worry. Imagine you're standing by the river and you see things floating by. You can look at it, appreciate it, and let it float by. Or you can pick it up. We unfortunately pick up other people's problems. Somebody comes and tells you their problems or something bad happens. We own this bad karma for ourselves. You don't have to. You can be appreciative, you can be empathetic, and you can give advice or help, but you don't have to own them.
Definitely.
And this is one of the biggest things. And unfortunately, today we are becoming very serious in America. We've got to let go. We've got to stop taking ourselves so seriously. We've got to laugh a lot.
Yes.
So please, I want you to start laughing. I want your viewers to find any opportunity to laugh.
To laugh.
We used to think that you became happy because something made you laughed.
Or you got something.
That's why you laughed. You became happy and then you laughed. It's the opposite. Because something made you laugh, that laughter made you happy.
Yes.
And today we have laughter yoga and laughter clinics all over America where people just go and laugh.
So what you're saying, we should laugh and then we'll
Just
get
laugh.
happy.
Ha 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 ha.
I
You're
like
in your
that.
toilet, in your bathroom, you're driving. Who cares? It's a red light. Laugh.
I like
okay?
that. I like that.
And you'll notice you'll feel happy. I challenge you. Just for a few minutes, just laugh and you will genuinely feel happy. It's a guarantee.
I like that point you have of a positive attitude and laugh. We, Alhikmat, just launched a t-shirt and it's called Have a Sunnah Attitude, smiling and courteous. Because that was the Sunnah attitude. I like this here. This is so interesting. And you're telling me things that is these points you have here are so in line with the Hadith and the Sunnah about having a Sunnah attitude, good characteristics, best pattern and conduct. You care about yourself, smile, be nice, don't worry. Simple as don't worry. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, you should not really stress yourself over what does not bother you and what is not your business.
Or you have no control.
And you have no control. That's a hadith.
Yes.
So those, and the last point, second to last point you have here, be spiritual and thankful for bounties and make every day the best of your life.
I will tell your viewers that every morning you wake up, I tell the Muslims, you have a prayer, morning prayer, so use that. I tell everybody else, non-Muslims, when you wake up, just think of all the good things in your life. First of all, you're alive, you're awake. Think of all the good things. So for a minute in your mind's eye, think of all the good things that are in your life. We all have our bads, but think of the good. Immediately that puts you in an attitude of gratitude.
Yes.
You are grateful and you are happy and you are thankful. Once you are in that attitude, I guarantee you your entire day will pass. Bad things will happen. Somebody will say bad things. But like I said in the beginning, you won't own them. You'll be like Teflon, like a little candle in the middle of a storm, and you won't flicker because you refuse to allow bad into your life. And may God bless you all.
No, that's a pleasure. It is really a blessing and has been a pleasure to have you, Dr. Jaffer, with us in the studio here in Alhikmat studio, and to have this program on Alhikmat TV, which is 24/7 online. And I'm sure that our viewers worldwide would have learned and benefited a lot from your advice, from your knowledge, from your experience. And this show and your presence can change the world. If you change people, you change the world. That's what it is all about. And if they change their attitude and they be a happier people, we will be in a more peaceful and happier world. So I want
That's what we pray for.
We pray for that. And I want to thank you very much again, Dr. Jaffer, for being with us, and may Allah continue to bless you. And if you have 2 or 3 seconds to do a closing, whatever you want to say before we close the show.
Oh Lord, please help us and our leaders to see the wisdom of peace and unity, because we are all children of Adam, of whatever color, class, or creed we belong to, or whatever country or geographic boundaries we come from. We are all people of one. We all bleed. If you are cut, we bleed red, and we are all brothers and sisters in humanity. God bless you all.
So it has been a pleasure again once more to have Dr. Mohsin Jaffer, the president and founder of Senior Medical Associates, with us on the show to share his knowledge and his advice with us. Stay tuned. Always stay tuned to Alhikmat TV, which is 24/7 online, and it has been a blessing to have you viewers with us. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you and bless your family. Allah.